We are the Simdicate.
Hello and welcome.
You may be wondering how you got here.
You may be wondering your choice of podcast.
In this series, you'll hear a variety of stories that may or may not be fact or fiction.
Welcome
To the Syndicate.
If you can't believe the unbelievability, then there's something wrong with the writing.
It may be said with a degree of assurance that not everything that meets the eye is as it appears.
There is nothing in the dark that isn't there when the lights are on.
But it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Just how normal we are. And just who are the people we say our hellos to?
A rather good question to ask.
Especially on the
Syndicate.
Welcome back, everyone, to another podcast. And today's topic that we are going to be discussing is a Father's Day. Now, Father's Day is a holiday of honoring fatherhood and paternal bonds, as well as the influence of fathers in society. In the Catholic countries of Europe, it has been celebrated on the 19th of March as St. Joseph's Day since the Middle Ages. In the United States, Father's Day was founded by Sonora Dodd and celebrated on the third Sunday of June for the first time in 1910. But it was celebrated after Mother's Day. So fathers, we have to thank the mothers for having Father's Day. So this day is also held on various dates across the world and different regions that maintain their own traditions of honoring fatherhood. Now, I am joined by GaminGargoyle.
Hello.
DeuceMS.
Hello.
And AO Mike.
Hey, everybody.
All right. Now, in a form of one form or another, we are all fathers. We all have had a father or still have a father. So I just want to bring you guys in and discuss with you what does Father's Day mean to you? And I'm going to start with you, Mike. What does Father's Day mean to you?
Well, to me, I think of it as like a day to be remembered, right? Because
You personally?
I mean, that's what it is. Me as a father to my children,
Okay.
or remembering my stepfather,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, he's not dead, not yet. But, I think of it of like it's a day that you would take to remember and be thankful for any and everything that they've taught you along the way, or you teach your children along the way.
Okay. What about you, Deuce? What does Father's Day mean to you?
It's weird for me, man. I grew up with both my parents. My father worked hard, wasn't around a whole lot, to go to ball games, that kind of stuff when I was a kid. So, it was always one of those days where I'd tell him thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for doing the best you could for us and doing the best you could with me, because I was the youngest. I was kind of an accident. Having much older siblings. Father's Day's always been kind of one of those days where I just kind of remembered some of the life lessons that my dad tried to instill in me in some way, or another. So, really, it's just a day for me to say thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what about you, Gargoyle?
It's a day that, I like to make sure that, I see a smile on my dad's face, just to, let him know that, thanks, dude. Every time you always did the best that you could with every situation. So, thank you. If I could, like whatever his favorite meal, that type of stuff. Make sure your favorite cake, those type of deals. And,
Right.
And then on that day, if I can, talk to him and, just reminisce about, some of the fun things.
Okay. Okay. My take on this is a little bit different. Father's Day to me is the day that my dad actually calls me. And he thanks me. I'm the reason that he's a father. So he thanks me for giving him the opportunity to be a father. Now, of course, I turn around, I thank him and do all that normal stuff, that you guys all said. But yeah, he's the one who always initiates it all the time. And growing up for me, it was always kind of weird because on Father's Day, his father, my grandfather, would take my dad and myself all out for dinner, and my grandfather would pay, saying thank you to all of us. And it was always kind of weird, but I mean, we're the reason why he's a father, and we're the reason why we celebrate that day. So, um, all kinds of weird, but or I shouldn't say weird, but different, But I think in all, the general point is all the same for all of us. We're celebrating fatherhood, whether it's going up or going down, one way or the other. So I'm gonna ask another question here. What does it mean to you to be a father? And for this one, I'm gonna start with Deuce.
Speaking of that, kid just walked in here.
Mm-hmm.
She just got back. She met the neighbors playing. Me and Miss Deuce are not married. Not my biological kid, but for all intents and purposes, my thought process is she is my kid.
Yep.
I mean, I feel like I would feel like I would feel about my own child. Like I mean, it's biological child anyway. I never want to see her hurt. I do everything I can to make her life easier. Gotta give her the best advice I can give her without telling her what she should think. I want her to develop those critical thinking skills for herself and figure out, what she thinks as she goes, kind of thing. I want her to use that and grow up with that thought process, instead of being led, you don't have to be a leader and you don't have to be led either. You can come up with things on your own. And I just try to be there to support her when I can and help her along the way. But I try not to. I don't know, man. It's an odd situation. I know, and there's a lot of people out there in my situation that have been in this situation. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there.
Right.
It may not be your biological child, but you feel like, you have to do your best to not screw it up.
Right.
You don't want to screw it up, and I want to do the best I can for her, and just be there for her every step of the way. Whatever I can do to help, without doing too much and without overstepping and without pushing her one way or the other, because I want her to decide for herself. I mean, she's a teenager, so she's going into high school and all. So I mean, it's you need the room and you need your freedom and stuff at that age. So,
right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. For me, being a dad figure,
Right.
is it's awesome, dude. I mean, it really is. It really
Good.
is.
Good.
You get that sense of fulfillment you don't get being single or without kids, and that's not to degrade anybody that can't have children. I don't even want to go there. It's just that once you are put in that role and you actually take it serious, and for me anyway, this is my personal experience. Once I took it, once I was put in that position, I took it serious from the beginning because I knew that I couldn't screw up. So I just try to do everything I can to lead the best I can. I give her the advice my father gave me, and
Right. Try to lead by example.
Try to lead by example. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Gargoyle?
What does Father's Day mean to me?
Yep.
Before I became a dad.
No. What does it mean for you to be a father?
Oh, for me to be father. That's right. That's where for the commercial there, or for the question.
Mm-hmm.
To be a dad, to always be supportive, to be not judgmental, to get involved with whatever the interests are, to always be available, always do the best that I can, and make sure that they know it every day.
Right.
I take every day as a gift.
No, that's a good way of looking at it. What about you, Mike?
Like you have to be nourishing for the children, responsible for them, obviously.
Right.
Uh, hmm. Just lead them in the right direction.
Okay.
I mean, let them make their own choices, but try and help them make the right choices without telling them what to choose.
No, it makes sense.
I mean, let them be free minded and go their own way. If they want to take the rough road, let them. They'll learn.
Right.
They'll learn that there's reasons that we try to direct them in certain ways because we've been there and done that.
No, I
Just trying to
understand.
make it easier for the children.
Okay. I know when people ask me what it's like for me to be a father, I tell them it's a mixture of overwhelming happiness and pride filled with fear. Um, I mean, because you are just so excited when your child achieves a goal, but you also feel the pain when they're hurting. You're part of the journey, whether you feel like it or not. You are part of their journey, and you want to protect them and keep them safe. I mean, even as your kids reach adulthood, I don't think. I mean, you never turn off the paternal thing. There's no switch that goes from on to off. It's always on, and it's. I mean, it's an awesome feeling, like you guys says. It's an awesome to see them accomplish something, or when they're happy, you're happy, type of thing. And it's just it's. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, I'm sure we all can go through this and say that, um, sometimes as a father, we only feel like we're a fixer or a protector. That's our job. Dad, this broke, fix it. Dad, I'm scared, protect me. That's our job. Sometimes they want to talk to us, sometimes they don't want to talk to us. It's part of that. So, um, going on that note, what advice would you give to dads of any age, whether new dads, old dads, any dads? So, what advice would you give? And I'll start with you, Gargoyle.
Advice for any dad?
Yep. What advice would you give to any dad?
Spend as much time with them as you can. You never know what's going to happen in life. So enjoy as much time as you can when you can.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
That'd be my one piece of advice to give. Yep.
All right. What about you, Mike?
Always be supportive of their choices.
Okay. Okay. And Deuce.
Be there when they need you to be there, if humanly possible.
Nope. Completely understand that right now. Completely understand that right now.
We all know there are always circumstances where you can't always be there, but you want to be. So don't just go, well, I'll get there when I can, when you could easily just go.
Right.
Call them, text them, FaceTime, whatever. Whatever you got to do, be there when you can.
I look at. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. This is a hard subject for me at the moment. Uh, I think I was gonna say, man, I don't even remember where I was going with that, but be there when you can. They'll remember that more than anything. I think that's what I was gonna say. They'll remember that more than anything you buy them. So.
Right. The only thing I would have to say on advice is, you know, as a father, you think you know what you're going to do and how you're going to handle the situation until the situation presents itself. As a father, you are always learning on the fly. There's highs, there's lows. Um, and the great thing about being a dad is there's always a funny story. There's always a funny story. You know, anytime, um, anytime as you can, embrace every moment with your kids. They grow up way too fast. Every time my kids have a birthday, I always tell them, it's not your birthday. You're not allowed to get older this year. you know, because I know just how fast they get away from you. I mean, I look at, you know, in my case, my son, um, you know, he's in college now. I still remember when he used to sit on my shoulders, and I used to carry him around everywhere. And, you know, to me, that's like yesterday. I couldn't do that right now. He'd break my back. You know, I mean, he's as tall as me and about as big. So, um, yeah, I mean, yeah, what everyone else said, just reiterate it. I mean, embrace every moment you can. That is probably the best advice. And listen to them. We know they're wrong, but listen to them. You know, just listen to them. So, going on to that, um, what is something that a father figure taught you personally? We'll start with Gargoyle on this one again.
Um, hmm. How to be mechanical. I'll put it that way. My dad taught me how to be very mechanical, to, you know, to look at something, how to, you know, if you take it apart, to understand, you know, each of the individual parts, and to, you know, be organized with it. You know, so that way when you go to put it back together again, you're not missing parts, and you know what you're working with. I'd say that was probably one of the biggest things that my dad taught me.
Okay. All right. What about you, Mike?
Well, I'd have to say, he taught me to put myself second. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'd
Mm-hmm.
have to make sacrifices for myself so that my children could could have something or do something.
No, I completely understand that one. Yep, completely understand that one. What about you, Deuce?
The biggest piece of advice that is ingrained in my head every time I take on a new venture is a piece of advice my father gave me when I was about 13, I guess. Um, 13 or 14. I started working at a grocery store when I was 14 before I could drive. So, make a little extra money, you know, have that way I could actually go do things because we didn't have a lot of money. So, uh, that way I could actually go buy things I wanted to buy because I was getting to that age where I wanted to buy stuff, whatever. So when I started that, just like when I started everything before that, my dad told me the same thing, and every time I started something new, he'd tell me the same thing. So it's ingrained in my head to this day, and I try to teach my kid that too. Is that learn all you can while you can, and that doesn't mean spend every waking moment soaking up information you didn't know about. You know, if you don't want to know about it, it
Right.
just means when you're going to do something, learn all you. I don't care if you're paint. When I painted houses, I learned the different types of rollers, different types of brushes, what they were used for, what material they're made of. I did all of that while I was doing it.
Right.
I tried to soak up every piece of information I could. When I started doing vinyl siding, did the same thing. You know, what's the difference in the different types of metal breaks? Why do we use different size nails for different size things on metal for the vinyl? Why is some vinyl triple lap, some's double lap, some single? You
Right.
know, I wanted to know all those things. So that's something that has really stuck with me through the years, and that is probably the best advice I've ever been given, ever.
No, no, that's similar to mine. My best advice that my father gave me, and it's something I it's hard sometimes, but I do stick to it. No matter what you start, finish it. No matter what you start, finish it. There's no timeline on when you finish it, but finish it. You never want to leave anything undone. So um, that, and don't be afraid to ask for help. It is us as men, you know, we don't like asking for help much. You know, we're the macho man. You know, I can do it myself type of thing. And nope. There's always someone out there that knows how to do it a little bit better than you do, and learn from them. And just like you said, don't, you know, always learn what you're going to do.
Yep.
So
I will say my dad pushed that one too pretty good. Was he wasn't one of those one of those, you
Right.
know, one of the Tim the Toolman Taylor.
Exactly.
He was super handy. Believe me, he
Uh-huh.
built things that I didn't think he could build. But that's something else he told me was, don't be afraid to ask for help. You're not gonna be able to do everything on your own. So,
Yep.
yep.
Okay. Now to flip it here. What has your child taught you? And I'll go right back at you, Deuce.
Humility.
Humility. Okay.
Yep.
What about you,
Humble.
Mike? Yep. What about you, Mike?
Patience.
Patience. Okay. I'm still waiting for my kids to teach me that one. Okay. What about you, Gargoyle?
How to see the world differently. I have to say that, the way that, he problem solves things like that. And it's really neat to see it, how to see things differently.
Yes.
So he'll see something in a cartoon and he sees it totally differently than the way that I see it. And when he tells it back to me, I can then see it in his perspectives and understand him even more. So it's really opened up my eyes to, how
Right.
to see things differently.
No, I like it. I like it. Mine would be my kids continue to teach me about me. They make me do stuff that I didn't think I could do. They make me try stuff that I never wanted to try. And usually it's role reversal. You're usually doing that to the kids. No, they're doing it to me, and I'm learning more about me all the time. And I'm like, oh wow, I actually do kind of like this, or, um, you know, oh, I never really thought of it that way, type of thing. Just every single time I have heart to heart conversations, I feel like I'm learning more than they are. I don't ever want to tell them that, but yeah, I feel like I'm learning more about me all the time. So, but no, um, this one is might be a little hard to narrow down, but here is another question here. And what is your favorite father moment? And I'm going to start with Gargoyle on this one.
Best favorite moment that I ever had with my dad?
No, just best father moment. You with
Oh,
your
as a
father,
father? Okay.
or you as a father. Father has to
Yeah,
be in it.
father, the day that he was born, and just that pride, that just overwhelming feeling of I brought life into this world. That has to be the defining moment for me as a father. Just, to hold him for the first time, that, the
Right.
day that he was born. Yep.
Okay. What about you, Mike?
I would have to say the same thing. I was going to say that, and then I was like, oh man,
Okay.
yeah. Watching them be brought into this world, I've never felt like that before in my life.
Right. Okay. And Deuce?
I'm gonna give one for both, just because I don't have the same.
Right. I know.
Yeah, I don't have the same experience
Right.
actually having HLB in there when they're born and that kind of thing.
Right.
So every time the kid says she can't do something, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it, you know. Yeah, you can. Keep trying. And then 20 minutes later, she comes and goes, "Hey, look, I did it."
Yep.
Yeah. Uh, that's a pretty every single time. It feels the same way
Mm-hmm.
every single time. It's a sense of accomplishment for her, and that makes me feel accomplished. So
It's amazing. Their
uh,
happiness makes us happy, isn't it?
it is. Yep. Um, with my dad, um, probably the last time we were out boating. We used to go boating during the summer
Mm-hmm.
when I was mid to late teens. A friend of his had a boat, so we'd all go go grill out and stuff. And my dad was on the inner tube, which he never did. He was usually skiing, and he forgot to take his top teeth out. And my uncle was driving the boat, and the boat had one of those big Cadillac engines on it.
Okay.
It was fast.
Mm-hmm.
He cut it wide open hard left, and Dad went flying around his inner tube, and I bet he skipped 50, 60 feet across the top of the water, and then had to go get new false teeth. So, because he lost them.
That's
That's
awesome.
that's probably one of the most memorable moments of my, because that was some of the happiest times, that I can remember, is those times at the lake. So,
Right.
but that was the best one.
No, I can understand that. For me, I mean, of course, yes. My favorite moment is, of course, yes, when my son was brought into the world. I think that goes without saying. Um, to add one for my father, um, I would have to throw. I was graduating from the military, and I was down in North Carolina, um, and he flew, and he hasn't flown since the 1960s when he flew back from Vietnam. That's the last time he was on a plane. So, and he was down there and saw me graduate. It was something, it caught me just completely out of the blue. I never even dreamed that he would be there, and he was there. He's just, that's just one of those times where, we've all said, be there whenever you can, and he was there, you know. So, and it's just one that I was like, I can never repay that one, So, what is your proudest moment for being a father? Now, this is directly at us being a father. What is our proudest moment? And I'm going to go with Mike on this one.
My proudest moment would probably be watching my children achieve something.
No.
Like anything they, or my proudest moment as just me.
No. Your proudest moment as your children doing something.
Okay, yeah. Anything they achieve that they don't feel like they could.
No story to tell. Come on, we want details here. Spell out the
Well,
juicy beans.
it's like my son. He's good at modding games. He just literally turned 10 5 days ago,
Okay.
6 days ago. Okay, for the last 2 years that he's had access to a computer, and I'm proud of him for this because I have no clue what the heck he's doing. He tries to involve me, and I'm watching, and I still don't understand it. But that's fine.
Right.
When he first started doing it, it was I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it.
Right.
And you just got to keep trying. And now all his little games that he plays, he mods them all to death, and there's no original game left.
Right.
But that's how he wants to play it. So I'm proud of him for that.
Okay. No, I like it. I mean, it's creativity, right? So,
Absolutely.
what about you, Gargoyle?
I would have to say perseverance as well. For me, my kiddo, he's, young, very young, 5 years old right now. And for him was, I'd say when he was on a scooter and he was just getting into the swing of things of it and everything, hadn't had it for very long, just starting to learn to coast by, keeping his foot up and letting it keep on rolling instead of doing the bunny hop with the 1 foot, right? Keeping the speed, just real slow. And he started taking off and he hit a hole in the sidewalk. Like there was a little chip taken out between the two sections. And he went head over heels. He landed onto the ground there. He scraped his arm pretty good and everything. And I thought for sure he was just going to say, stupid thing, I don't want it, Dad. You take it back with the whatever. And, he just looked at me and he's like, I just need a second and then I can go again, right? Like he was just powered right through it. He didn't want to give up on it. He knew he could do it and he enjoyed it. So seeing him persevere for me was awesome.
Okay, I like it. And
Didn't give up.
Right. And what about you, Deuce?
I'm torn between two.
That's fine. If they're a tie, say them both.
Well, so if the kid heard me say this, she'd kill me. So when me and Ms. Deuce met, kid didn't know how to ride a bicycle. Kid was 7,
Okay.
and our neighbors and them had been friends since the kids were born. And she's a bit older than them, but she's known them since they were babies. So they knew how to ride bicycles. They were out riding bicycles and stuff. So why don't you go ride with them? Just go. I don't feel like it. I was like, no, seriously, go ride. Take your mom's bike, go ride. She's like, I don't know how to ride. I'm just gonna stay in here. I was like, oh no, no. That was the one time I broke my own rule about forcing her to go do something.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, go get on the bike. So we spent probably 3 hours through dinner in the afternoon during the week one week, and her tumbling off in the grass, hitting the post in the garage, and everything else. And by the end of the night, she was riding around the yard on the bicycle.
There you go.
That was a pretty good moment.
Yes, it is.
Um, that was a pretty good one. The other one would be the first time I heard her call me stepdad to one of her friends. That was a pretty proud moment for myself. So
No, that's an awesome moment right there. The first time when they address you as dad.
mm-hmm.
Now, whether it's a step in front of it or just dad.
Well, I should say the first time she called me dad, but that was only once, and I think she was still trying to figure out my role.
Right.
So
Right.
and of course, it's not something I ever bring up.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Never.
Yep. It's not your place to.
She call me whatever she wants to.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I don't care.
She has to feel like she wants to call you that.
Right.
Yep.
It's never been an issue for me. Call me whatever you want to. I mean, I'm that way with everybody, though. You know what I mean? It doesn't. How you address me doesn't matter. How you show how you feel is the main thing. So, but yeah, the first time I heard her say it to one of her friends, it really meant something. Because I mean, that to me was a pretty big moment. She acknowledged to her peers.
Right.
And that's a pretty proud moment, honestly.
No, that I like it. I'm just gonna say one for my son. He was 9 years old, and we were at a baseball tournament, and I was not the head coach or anything like that. I was one of the assistant coaches, and the head coach's kid, who was pitching at the time, injured his arm, and we just finished one game. And he's looking at his list, and he's like, none of these pitchers are ready to go. None of these pitchers are ready to go. And he looks at me, and he's like, your kid pitches, right? And I go, yeah. And he's like, do you think he can do it? I'm like, yeah, I think he can do it. And he goes out there, and he throws a no-hitter. His first time playing on a tournament team, and the kid pitches a no-hitter. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, I mean, it's like a movie type of thing. I'm just like, my jaw's on the ground.
Lifetime movie.
Yeah. And I'm just like, holy cow. And he's like, and the head coach comes to me and he goes, why didn't you tell me your kid was good? I'm like, I did, And he's like, well, yeah, but how come you didn't keep on pressuring me? He's like, and I'm like, hey, you're the head coach, you saw them all in practice. You just thought my kid threw funny. And you didn't like him. Well, he throws funny because no one can hit him. So, but I mean, that right there was a super proud moment because now my kid of being young of age, he, mentally he was, he probably didn't think nothing of it. He's just like, hey, I'm playing baseball. I don't care, type of thing. But, I mean, I wore a smile on my face for a week straight. My cheeks were so sore. I'm just like, oh yeah, we ended up winning the trophy and all that good stuff, and it was just like, wow. So, but yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
People said Randy Johnson threw funny when he was growing up too. So
Yeah, I know. So, but going on to the next thing, and this changes everything. What is the most embarrassing thing you have done? And we'll start with you, Deuce.
Um, I mean, I don't think it's anything I done directly because again, I mean, I don't try to, you know what I mean? Like, I don't try to be the hip cool dad. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so I typically don't embarrass her too much. I think probably for me the most embarrassing thing for her is her telling her friends that I'm a YouTuber. Like
Okay.
that's probably the most embarrassing thing for her. You know,
Right.
it's like
Right. Right.
she got to tell people that's what I do back here all day. Is I sit here and make YouTube videos or stream or whatever. You know,
Yeah. But
I
hey,
can
that
see I can see that it being their age. You know, seeing the boomers, doing YouTube stuff. It's like what?
right.
So I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? Like it would be embarrassing for me. So
Right.
if
Well,
if I were her, so.
I mean, I can see that, but you got to tell her, hey, tell her friends to look at my channel, and maybe they'll like me, type of thing.
I've
But
tried. They don't watch me.
yeah, I know. Yeah, it was worth it.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know of anything that I've done that's just that I knew that was embarrassing for her.
Right.
That embarrassed me too. I don't think I've had that opportunity yet.
Right.
If I have, she hit it pretty well. So
Good. Okay. What about you, Gargoyle?
Yeah, I have to say I have yet to wait for my embarrassing moment. I have a rough idea what it might be. It might have to be, if we're going out someplace and somebody asks me to volunteer to help out with something I'm just not physically capable of doing. That would be about, that would be my really embarrassing moments. Like, yeah, I'm here for my kid, but yeah, no, I can't do this additional task that you're requesting of me. I think that would be the most embarrassing thing where, he might have to go, yeah, my dad, has a disability.
Okay. Okay. What about you, Mike?
I would have to say going through a store, and it's not embarrassing to me because I really don't care what people think about me.
Mm-hmm.
But to my children, they hate it when I do this. When they start acting up and we're in a store, I'll just start singing and dancing around them.
Okay.
And they
Yeah.
just get like bright red,
Right.
and I love it.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yep.
but they stop.
Yeah. I mean, there's been countless car rides and everything where I turn up the radio and I'm singing off key on purpose. Just yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm at a stoplight. I don't care. And they're like, Dad, Dad, Dad. But no, the for me the most embarrassing thing that I ever did to them, um, and again I got to use my son again because this is the most embarrassing thing that I've ever done. This time I was the head coach, and I told the team that if we won, if we took first place in our division, I would wear a dress in the playoffs. Well, let's just say I looked pretty good in a dress. So,
We
yep,
know, we've seen the
yep.
pictures.
I mean, you can picture, a grown man in a dress on third base, coaching. I only wore it for one game, um, but yeah, I was out there in a dress. So, but the kids loved it. I mean, my son was completely embarrassed. My daughter was completely embarrassed. Um, because all the questions was, who's that, what is he doing out there, type of thing, and they're like, yeah, that's my dad. you know
I don't know who that guy is.
yeah, I don't know. Yep.
Right?
Yeah, he just showed up. I think he's off the street somewhere. Someone called the cops, but yeah, yeah. I mean, it was a fun time for everybody. It's just they were embarrassed. So um I think I'm gonna have one more thing, and then we'll wrap it up here. Going back to your fatherhood figure, what was your favorite activity to do with him? And we'll start with Mike on this one.
Going to the races, horse races, and NASCAR, or circle track local.
Anything that went fast.
Anything, yeah.
All right. What is your best memories about going there?
Ooh, just the quality time spent together. I mean, with something I enjoyed, something he loved and still does to this day.
Right.
I love the loud noises of the cars flying by.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Okay. What about you, Deuce?
So the question was
Favorite activity with your father figure?
favorite activity.
Yep.
Okay. Um, Probably be getting in his way when he was working on stuff.
That was your favorite activity?
Yes.
Was getting in the way of when he was working on stuff. All right, I love
Yeah.
it.
I mean, of course, he never said that, but I
I
always
know.
felt like I was in the way because I was the handing him wrenches,
Mm-hmm.
kid. So, but I would always try to get in there and work on stuff too, and he'd let me. He didn't care. But for me, it was just spending time with him because he drove a truck when I was super young. So
Right. Okay. No,
he
okay.
was never at home.
I get
So,
what
yeah.
you're getting there. Yeah.
Yeah, so he's never at home. So I mean, he didn't stop driving until I guess, till probably about the time I took the job at the grocery store. He'd gotten off the road by then. But I mean, my whole childhood, he was basically gone. So I mean, he was on the road every day. So when he was home working on stuff, I'd be out there underneath him trying to turn wrenches with him, or
Mm-hmm.
hand him stuff or drop stuff on his head. That was always fun.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, just basically just being out in the garage with him.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not near the mechanic he or my older brother are, but I mean, I can turn wrenches. I
Right.
just don't know how to work on these newfangled cars.
No, no, I get it. I get it.
But that was pretty fond memory, man. Like just every time being out there in the garage with him.
Okay. What about you, Gargoyle?
I'd have to say it was the projects that we worked on that we both knew nothing about, and we worked together to figure it out because it was cheaper for us to do it that way than it was to go and hire the person to come in and do it. My dad knew a lot of things, but when he didn't know something, he knuckled down to learn it. And, he would bring me in on it and my brother and that, and we would all learn it really well. So that way, when we did it, we could just strengthen each other while we were doing the job going, oh, no, 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 you got to have, over 10 feet. The water pipe's got to be at least 1/8 of an inch higher. Like you got to have that slope or whatever it is, right? Things like that. So we would go through and learn all of it together so that we were just helping each other the whole way through. So, there was a lot of prep work before there was the actual work. And I think those were the best times was when we were learning all the different types of things on a project on how to do it.
Okay, I get that. Mine would have to be when I was younger. My dad and I just about every weekend will go out fishing. We park a vehicle on the side of the road, and the two of us would carry a flat bottom boat, probably about a quarter mile, and put it in the lake, jump in, and go fishing. And just the times that we had. Sometimes we would go out there and not say a single word. Other times we wouldn't even fish. We would talk the entire time. And that's what I would have to say was my favorite activity. Was again, yes, it all boils down to just spending time. But even though it was something that he enjoyed, he didn't have to do it. He did it to spend time with me, type of thing. So, and that's what I really liked. So, but yeah, I mean, anyone else have any interesting stories that they want to say about you, about you being a father or on their father? Any funny stories that you guys want to say, or any learning stories or anything like that? The mic is open. The floor is yours.
I will say that it was funny to me. I don't know how funny it'll be to anybody else, but my stepdad got a new pair of shoes, right? And you know how they have the paper in the toes.
Uh-huh.
Well, this went on for 3 days. 3 days, paper in the shoes. He goes, I don't know why in the hell, his exact words, I don't know why in the hell these shoes don't fit right. They're the right size. They are tight as hell on my feet.
He never took the paper out.
He never took the paper out. So he takes them off, and I'm looking. Because, you know, I'm curious.
Right.
I'm like, you know, 13, 14 at this time. I'm looking, I'm like, oh, well, this might have something to do with it. Pull the paper out, and he lets out a big old GD. I can't believe. To me, I mean, that was a funny moment from him.
Oh yeah, that's hilarious. The simplest thing is
Yeah.
sometimes forgotten. Wow. Anybody else have any other story that they want to say?
I've got one.
Okay.
So you guys remember the um, mid to late '90s, somewhere in there? There were the dog chew beef jerky things that come in the yellow and red can, like the plastic. I say can, but it's a plastic container. Whatever had the yellow lid on it. Looks a
Mm-hmm.
lot like Slim Jim.
Mm-hmm.
My mom had just gotten back from the store, and my dad. It had to be late '90s because he wasn't driving. He was out in his office working on CBs, I think. Yeah, he was not on the road anymore. He had two drivers on the road at the time, but he had been out in the office working, and he come in, grab another cup of coffee, and grab one of them Slim Jims, what he thought was a Slim Jim, and started chewing on it. And I looked at him. I said, "Is that pretty good?" He said, "Yeah, it ain't bad." Mom walked in and said, "Oh my God, what are you eating?" He said, "I grabbed one of those beef jerkies." Mom said, "You know those are dog treats." He spit it all over the kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
That was the that was probably one of the funnier kind of just quick mishap things that, almost sitcom like, that happened. Pretty funny.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I can see that though. They don't read. They just grab it and go.
I mean, he was in a hurry, man. He's trying to get back out there to work.
Yep. Yep.
So he just grabbed it, and he was chewing on it as he started out the door. And I said, "What are you eating?" And he stopped, and then Mom walked in.
Yeah, that would do it.
Yeah, the only thing that I can really remember that I had a really good laugh that sticks to me to this day is my dad was very young. He's never been a drinker in his entire life. He's like me. There's a bottle that's probably 8 or 9 years out of date up in the cupboard. Like not a big drinker, but like, oh man, I was really young. So they were in their early 20s at the time. I had young parents, and they had some friends over, and they brought some homemade wine with them, and they brought a lot of it. And the next morning, I remember my dad getting up. I'd already made my oatmeal, and I was eating away. And my dad gets up, he grabs his glass of water, and he ends up putting the milk jug into the cupboard, and pouring water onto his milk too. He was just out of it and just completely hungover. And I, to this day, I still laugh over that, because he was just in total ruins from drinking wine when I've maybe seen him had 2 beers his entire life before that. So
Right.
that was great.
Mine isn't funny per se, but I remember one time I probably just turned 13, 14 at the time. And well, let's just say I wasn't being a very good kid at the time. And I remember saying something to my mom, and my dad gets up and the belt comes off. Well, as soon as I seen the belt come off, I'm out the door and I start running down the road. Um, Next thing I know, well, my dad's running down the road. Well, I run a little farther. Um, he starts running a little farther, and then he stops, and he's like, "I'll wait right here. I know you got to come back home." And well, I didn't go home for the next 3 days. So he wasn't gonna do anything. He never has. Um, it was just a show of force, protecting the mom, and stuff like that. But um, I remember when I did come home, he was sitting in a chair right by the door, and he didn't say a word when I came in. I went right to my room, and as soon as I was in my room, he got up. So I was in my room now. There was no way out because my room was on a second floor. I wasn't jumping out. I wasn't going to jump out the window. And he shuts the door behind me, and I'm just shaking and shaking and shaking. And he walks right up to me and just gives me the biggest hug he's ever given me before. And it was from then on, I mean, I knew that no matter what, he was always going to be out there looking for me. So, I mean, and, you know, yes, while I wasn't home, they knew exactly where I was, you know, and they would call all the time, see, all right. And, you know, when I was in school, they would come over, grab my dirty clothes, clean them, bring them back. You know, they just let me be. And it was one of the things that, looking back now, I'm like, you know, I can't believe how childish I was, you know, at that time. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, you know, I'll never forget. And I look back now and I find it kind of funny. I mean, because for one, I didn't think my dad could run that fast. I thought I was a faster runner. But yeah, when there's motivation, yeah, old men can run fast. So, but yeah, but no, I think that right there is a good place to end it. So,
If I could just say one more thing.
one more thing, yes.
Um, so you guys know, everybody that's in my community knows, my dad had ALS,
Hmm.
Lou Gehrig's disease, diagnosed in 2005, passed away in 2010. How old was I then? I don't even remember. uh, 25? That sound right? 25.
If you're 36 now, it's perfect.
Would that be 25? Yeah, 25. Yeah. So I was 25 when he passed away. And one of the things I'll just say is, I like Bone was pretty boneheaded when I was 17, 18, 19. Uh, I probably said some things he shouldn't have said to him. He probably said some things he shouldn't have said to me. But he never laid his hands on me other than when I was a kid. Giving me a butt whooping once.
Yep.
Once I deserved every bit of it. But never was abused for anything. I had a really really kind of carefree childhood because he really didn't. He's kind of. I mean, I got a lot of mine from him, right? I just kind of figure it out. If you can't figure it out, come ask me. I'll give you a hand with it. Kind of let her do her own thinking. He let me do my own thinking, kind of thing. But I was pretty boneheaded, and I don't have any regrets. I learned a lot from it. Uh, we never were at odds or anything. But the one thing that I would say is that if your dad is still around, and short of few circumstances, and just you can use your imagination on the circumstances, um, call him, call him today, and tell him to say hey, even if you don't love him, if you're at odds over something that happened, just call him and ask him how they're doing, because not everybody's that fortunate. So.
No.
I'm definitely not. I wish mine was still around for me to go pester one more time. So that I just wanted to put that out there because I hate to end it on a somber note. I really do.
Yep.
But it's Father's Day. Call them, say hey, ask them how they're doing.
Exactly. No, very, very well said. Very well said, Deuce. But no, I mean, considering that officially Father's Day has only been around since 1972. That's when it officially became a holiday. Was 1972. Calvin Coolidge back in 1910 wanted to make it a holiday, but nothing official ever came from it. What I find weird though is that it took all the way until 1972 for us to have a day to remember to say I love you to your father. To me, in my opinion, every day should be that. Every day should be Father's Day. Every day should be Grandparents' Day, Mother's Day, Children's Day, all that day. You don't need a day to remember the ones in your life. But yeah. So on that note right there, I want to thank you all for watching. And I know this was unlike most podcasts that we've been doing. Yes, we had our funny moments in here, but this was a good heart to heart, and I think now you understand more of us. I know for me myself, I now have a better understanding of the people of the syndicate. So, and I hope that they do too, and I hope that you all listening do as well. So, on behalf of every father out there, or every stepfather out there, any father figure out there, on behalf of the syndicate, happy Father's Day. So I want to thank all the members of the syndicate for being here. So, Mike, why don't you say your goodbyes?
Happy Father's Day, and thank you all for watching.
Gargoyle?
Happy Father's Day, and I hope that everybody gets to enjoy theirs to the fullest.
And Deuce.
Happy Father's Day, folks. Enjoy it.
Exactly. And me, Bone, happy Father's Day. Yes, enjoy it while you can. Whether you are a father, kids grow up fast. And like Deuce said, if your father is still around, spend time with him. Give him a call. You know, uh, I know this sounds really archaic, but write a letter. You know. But anyways, guys, until next time, this is the Syndicate signing off. See you all later.